On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to hit you with a pregame for our upcoming Halloween event, which will be soon, TM. Also, continuing to be little things here and there in the news, and stay tuned, because you'll get to hear some of our initial thoughts on Fate Samurai Remnant. I am one of your hosts. I am Brain Stance Omega. With me, as always, Chaos Stance Lucky.
Well, I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka the Princess of the Ball. And while we here at Studio Omega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EM version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should make sure to keep their sabers fed.
It's an important part of the saber process.
It really is.
But yes, hello, welcome. It's Let's Talk FGO. Okay, I'll remember that. Robin calling his shot on the Timecodes. But, before we go any further, you're seeing these comments from the Patron Nut Gallery, because this episode is brought to you by our patrons, like Adam DeHart, Blacklist OG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Feist Iceberg, Jeremy Vasquez, JDV9000, Just Today, John Sandoval, Chris Starlight, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robin, Charvor, Sean Pryor, Some Guy Named Bob, and Varian the Crow. If you like what you do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early, lots of other goodies, and everything helps us out. Thank you for your support, as always. And if you've ever wondered why there are aside comments to live chat, that's because higher level patrons can listen to the show get recorded live. They can act as my double secret brain. But that means we're going to keep moving on down the line so we can talk about all the fun things. Let us check in first with everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because this is our segment, Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Regular Pro Tips. This one's kind of an esoteric pro tip today, but I'll reiterate this later, but, that'll be after some stuff. If you are curious about, timeline-wise, when perhaps we will be starting, some sort of brand new Halloween event, based on the JP scheduling, my predictification is that the new Halloween event will start in about a week from now. So I'm calling my shot that it will indeed start on Friday the 13th. Not just because it's Friday the 13th, but also that is about 2 weeks after we got the Halloween trilogy, highlights started as well. So it works out with several levels of timing. So keep that one in mind. And that is all for Pro Tipple for Zipple.
Pro Tipple.
Which is instead of Records of the Throne, a regular achievement topic. Take a sip of water.
Take a sip of water. So, with that, move on to Records from the Throne, our regular achievement topic. It's not very big, but I do want to let everyone know I did finish all that reading with the Halloween trilogy. Many grails were had, and so were prisms, because they actually did finally get the rare prisms out. I think that happened last night.
Yeah, there was a bug for a little bit. You didn't get your rare prisms, but they got them now. I know this because I myself am only 2/3 done, but I got my permanent Brave Liz earlier today, and so yeah, I got a rare prism right away with that. So they fixed it finally. Yay!
Yay!
I don't know what it is about rare prisms for welfares, but that seems to be the thing that is bugged the most. But yeah, it's done. And yes, I'm only 2/3 done, because it do be a lot of reading. It's really interesting. We may talk about it later in the free talk zone, but it's real funny to see Halloween 1, it's one section, it's 7 pips, it's nothing in terms of text length. It's there and gone.
For real, I'm gonna be real. I thought that they cut stuff out of it. I was like, wait, no, it is just this short, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was a time gated event that went for it went for 2 weeks, but the time gates lasted a week, and it just snap moved on and then was done. Whereas you jump to Halloween 2 already, and that's actually 3 whole sections of going up and down in the plot, and lots of old school jokes there. It is good to get back in and see this stuff. Some of you may not have been playing to remember these iconic scenes, such as the invading Master's Room trio swimming through hot lava.
The panic was real.
Existential terror. Playing hide and seek with the No Face May King. Obviously Halloween 2 will be longer because you do literally get booted back to the start halfway through. But yeah, this is where Lance's A Lot of Married Women comes from.
Honestly, there's just so many jokes.
Yeah, it's a comedic event, so it works like that. I forgot just how much repeated sassing Brave Liz got for her outfit.
Yep.
This is also why Brave Liz does sometimes show up as a bonus servant in summer. She makes her own joke. But yeah, Halloween 1 was a lot lighter, and like it was still jokes, but they were more, you know, more discreet and short, like very direct punchlines.
Mhm.
And then we actually have kind of some character arcs in 2, and I'll be interested to see how 3 reads when we get there. After I was, gallivanted off into the sky by a pair of mecha Ellies. But alright, speaking of doing your events, let's move on to Did You Finish Your Master Missions? They're very simple this week. You need to do 30 friend point summons, so 3 10s. Defeat 3 each of neutral, chaotic, and lawful servants, complete 5 quests, and then complete 10 quests. I believe you should knock all of these out if you do all the Halloween reruns, and if it does not work, then you can probably catch up very simply with some Fuyuki runs. But yeah, very simple, straightforward. Get some frags. Yeah, the neutral servants are at the tail end, but they're in there, so depending on your timing, if you have been, doing other stuff, no idea what other things could have been going on in this franchise that you wanted to be doing, but, if you weren't, you may need to, like, hustle and knock some Fuyuki stuff out really quick for the rollover, but it's there. Alright, so that means we should move into spooky, scary Skelegrams. But we're not yet at maximum spook. That'll be when we record next show. That show will be recorded on Friday the 13th. Maybe I will just, instead of trying to insert it, because we always get blasted for that, maybe I'll just sing Spooky Scary Skeletons. Anyway, we got a couple of small bits of news. The news is very minimal. We're in kind of a transitional period, Obviously, they're leaving you plenty of time to finish the Halloween trilogy in NA before we move on to our actual new Halloween event, though we've got lots of little things going on. And JP is also, I believe, scooching for a new event, though their next thing should start soon, I believe, because I think their social media campaign over there went until the 10th, so they are probably going to gear up for a new, the new event around then, and I assume, based on the fact that everything's 3 weeks now, that'll be the new Halloween. Or it might not, though, because they said there would be a Grailfriend, so it might be Halloween Grailfriend, or it might not. We'll find out soon. But starting at the top with the thing that started the soonest, we've got a Fake Run Carnival Recollection campaign, starting the 2nd, going until the 13th. There's a quest for a commemorative CE. It plays one of the skits from the show. During this time, you're going to get double FP for Osakawa Hime, Arash, and Mash. The FGC-related servants, no, the other FGC, are all double suck chance, and there are banners for Arash, Jean, and Sitone, with regular 4-star Nero up on all 3. I'm sure many people are scrambling about a surprise Arash banner, but it'd be how it be. Very simple stuff. I believe this is to commemorate... Is it the 2nd volume BD going on sale? Let me double check. Because, it's not for nothing. Yeah, there's the campaigns. Yeah, it doesn't even say anything specific. I think we're just doing it because we're doing it.
I could have swore I saw a reason, but...
Yeah, maybe it was in the in-game news feed, or maybe it was on Twitter? FG's social media is usually pretty interactive. I don't see it in the inherent article, so... It's cute. It's a nice thing to do. There's some banners, some pickups. Get your chance in.
Mm-hmm.
And, won't say no to maybe some, especially obviously with banners for these servants, won't say no to some double suck. Arash is in my, normal quests block, so I might get some of the extra FP. We'll see. But we move on to JP. JP is doing Audio Call Campaign Part 3 Summoning Campaign. I believe this also coincided with some new free quests and challenge quests in the Bleached Earth area, but started the 4th going until the 13th also. So it sounds definitely like we're setting up to have some fun on the 13th all around. Sorry, slight sound beat from Lucky, obliterating some men.
Hang on.
No, it's gone. Almost sneezed, but it's gone now.
I am trying to obliterate a Phantom Ogre Warrior.
Those guys they're tough boys. But to commemorate the Audio Call thing that's going on, we have some pretty simple stuff. You got a Sigurd and Valkyrie raid up, and then a Mothman Python Red Hair raid up. So again, we are determined to give every limited servant a raid up this year, I think. We're trying it out. This isn't directly news related, but there was a compilation of gacha game stats, for the past couple of months, in comparison, with some very interesting stuff in there. In August, FGO had, a huge amount of money made, and then it dropped pretty significantly in September. But honestly, that's probably not that weird, because, August would have been, primo summer times, and the banners have been a little smaller in September. So, while obviously, like I said, looking at the chart, some people might be able to make the comment in a vacuum about, oh, FGO's dead. They just, reported like 50% less revenue month to month. Trust us. The moment we hit a good banner, like a brand new, or possibly multiple brand new banners, you never know if they run out a couple of servants. Maybe a spicy return rate up. You'll see that number go up.
I mean, in a vacuum, yeah, but you gotta remember, even though I think it was they're only like down to like what 11 million or something. Even at 11 million, they were still in like out of all the gacha games that they listed, they were still in like the top 5.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like, yes, it is a big dip percentage wise, but it is still the top 5. Also, yeah, it seems to be combined between like NA and JP profit, so like the different cycles will balloon each other. In that case, FGO is definitely going up because, they're gonna have multiple ones. But yeah, so I think it's saying that their ranking fell 5 steps so that they are now number 6. So just out of the top 5.
6.
But were previously like number 1 or number 2. The tops, according to this... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll finish, please.
Yeah, I was going to say, so this makes the top list. Honkai is number 1. And it says they went up 1, so yeah, I think FGO was number 1, and then Honkai jumped up after them, and they dropped a lot. They're making, in USD, about 50 to 40 million every month, and technically they went down a little bit. Don't know what the fuck Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle is doing. They're number 2. They jumped up, 4 slots.
Must have a sick-ass banner.
Yeah, must have had some good pulls. Uma Musume is number 3. Seems to be, going up around. Genshin is 4. Nikkei is 5, and then FGO is 6. With Nikkei doing a big jump in September, and you theorize this would be because of the Nier collab.
Oh, yeah.
Which I agree with, yeah.
And, it also makes sense with FGO be doing the big jump in August, because that'd been right after JP anniversary, and then
JP
right
anniversary,
into...
then summer, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, people wrenched open their wallets for that.
Yeah, no, it's that, and that's the thing with FGO, right? Like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, FGO's dying. Look how far they are." No. You don't understand how FGO works. FGO will be number 1 and will trend on Twitter when they do something cool and new. Whenever we actually get to the next Ordeal Call story, probably to the top. If they bust out something really cool for Halloween, probably to the top. God help us if they do an actual event collab for Samurai Remnant. That'll go way up. Because also, I would like to throw out my final news note is the Samurai Remnant note, which is they have officially said that they've crossed 300,000 copies sold. I believe. Let me double check if how they phrased that exactly, but
I think that actually just might have been in Japan, if I remember correctly, because it's been reported that it was the number 1 selling video game for 1 week in Japan, selling over 300,000 copies.
It is, according to them, according to Fate SR official, that is worldwide.
Oh, worldwide, okay.
Shipped over, and this is, they're saying shipped, so I believe that means physical. They have made 300,000 physical sales worldwide a week after their launch, which is really good. That's pretty good for a video game to do that in 1 week. So, yeah, no, Samurai Remnant is doing gangbusters. Obviously not as big as, FGO's install base, but the FGO is, cheating. So, it's very solid. And so, yeah, that's, FGO still has the potential to get in there. Also, completely unrelated, but very, very interesting and probably hopeful, especially because it hasn't even gotten its Steam port yet. But a Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is also in the top 10, and it's only been out 1 month. It's outselling BA and Arknights right now.
I'm a little surprised about...
That's because BA dropped a lot. August, they made, $22 million. They only made it 8 in September. Not sure why. I don't actively play BA, so...
Blue Archive, we're not in Dartha content, but if you do a month of nothing but reruns, really, you're not going to get a lot of people.
No, and that FGO is in that similar position right now, so yeah, no, it makes sense.
In Blue Archive specifically, we do have new characters, but they are not limited characters, so people are probably not as inclined to unleash their wallets for them.
But yeah, hey, if you've ever wondered how the fuck Hoyoverse can afford to like be everywhere and like do collabs with content creators, it's because they have 2 games in the top 5 best-selling gacha games. You know, they are making between those 2 games, they are making extra money close to like $75 to $100 million a month. And if they combine their profits, so yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, so Fate Samurai Remnant selling very well. Good thumbs up for them.
Yay.
I believe they do. According to press releases and stuff, there is some DLC planned, though that might just be extra characters. Don't know if it'll be story DLC per se, but we shall see. So they're doing good, which is good to hear. But that is, other than like I said, predicting what the news will be. That is all of our Skelegrams for this week. Yeah, actually, hold on. They haven't ever modeled Okitan Nobu in an action game, have they? Like, I didn't accidentally miss them as, like, any Extella Link DLC characters. That could be interesting. Nobu especially would probably be very intriguing.
Weren't they in arcade?
Yeah, they're in arcade, but that still plays a little differently than most 3D action games, because you've got, like, your skills on timer effects and stuff. I'm not an expert in arcade, but I don't think the combat is as deep as most character action games. Though they would obviously have, 3D fight animations. But yes, that's Skelegrams. Cough away from the microphone.
But
Sorry, a little congested today. Very lucky I'm not being all nose runny while we record the show. It's been kind of windy and dry lately, but there's going to be a cool front this weekend, so maybe it can be, fall for realsies.
Falls for realsies. By the way, Gilgamesh is trending for whatever reason.
Semi-spoilers, I guess, but I believe there's a joke ending involving Gilgamesh in Samurai Remnant.
Oh, there is.
Okay, yeah, so that's probably why.
Yeah.
But he's not the funny guy.
Great. But well, with this, let's move on over into this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. I kind of knew this would happen, but it's still on me because I did not remind people.
Yeah,
but,
I forgot too. I only remembered today. I was like, oh fuck, I wanted to tweet out that we posted it already.
Yeah, but let's see here. Let me give it one last refresh. Nope, it's still 6. All right, so this will probably not be the longest, but we got 6. And honestly, it probably is better just to do it at the end of the show, so I don't forget in the first place. Then the onus is on you guys. Hey. But let's get started here. The first one comes from Dragon Girl versus the 3 Lizzes. It's weird to say that. They say, "Hey guys, how was your FF14 Moogle tomestones farming? Did you get what you need from it? I made a lot of relics from all the other tombstones while wanting alliance raids. I hope your week is going well and sending good vibes your way." I am glad you asked, because once again, Lucky has gotten fucked by time and space shenanigans. Is it actually the fault of time and space? No, it's actually the fault of Lucky can't remember how to tell time in his fucking life. So
they did also they ended that with a 24-hour maintenance, into the patch. So like there was a little bit of time and space fuckery.
There was a little bit of time and space fuckery, but there's a difference between me thinking I have 30 hours left and me thinking I have like 6 hours left. Because that's basically what happened. It was technically the last day of farming. I'm actually with the rest of the crows and the guys, and I'm feeling pretty chill. I'm just like, I need about 200 tombstones to get the Fat Cat Umbrella and the Samurai Biting for the Chocobo, and I'll be done. Those are the only 2 things I didn't get. Why I didn't get them? A, because it was Sunday and I had to go work the next day. B, I thought I had 30 hours left because it was October 2nd. It starts at, what they say, 3 a.m.? Like 3 a.m. or something like that?
3 a.m. your time, yes.
Yes. So, me being a dumbass thought that October 2nd, 3 a.m. wouldn't start for 30 hours instead of the 6 hours that it was. I was just like, yeah, no, it's like, because, I'll go over the clock again, then it'll be a second, then the clock goes around again. Yes, I know how to tell time. Lucky does not know how to tell time.
And this is why, unfortunately, the news updates we have hooked to Final Fantasy XIV don't, but why our hook for news on Let's Talk FGO, our news desk thread there, that has an automatic posting in time that converts to your system time. Very helpful.
Oh, yes, Toronto. By the way, I did get Asanagi's Asanagi. I was able to do that.
I know you made that you joked about that before, but it's still funny when you say it like that.
I mean, it's a ship girl named Asanagi, drawn by the artist Asanagi, so it's Asanagi's Asanagi.
I know it's literally true, but there's just something slightly comedic about the timing there. All right, but yeah, I think I technically did like just because I was a madman, and instead of playing my other backlog games like Sea of Stars or Armored Core, I'm just gonna continue to sit on Armored Core until it gets better through updates, I guess. I'm kidding. But they are still doing regular updates to like nerf things here and there. But I was just doing my fucking dailies to level other classes, and also, that meant that I was doing alliance raids and like story roulettes every day, and frontlines. So I think the only thing I missed that I wanted was the Samurai Barding, because that was also 100, and that was another thing of like, can I fucking even do, that kind of thing with the same hours? Keeping in mind that, like, for me, the cutoff, is 3 hours ahead of Lucky Standard Time. So maintenance for me didn't start until 6 a.m. So, like, staying up that late's hard. Oh, it's a lot of extra effort to get some Moogle stones.
Moogle.
But yeah, I think that's the only thing that I wanted that I missed out on. And technically, I could have, but I, bought some Orchestrions for stuff. They were, like, I got 2 of the 50s instead of the Samurai Barding.
Scrolls and stuff. Yeah, I bought some Vernon Partitions. If I hadn't bought that, I probably would have made it. But housing is the true end game, along with fashion.
Fashion's good. I need to, like... The problem is, and we'll explain more later, but, like, I was... on the one hand, I was very cool about, like, waiting until, monthly money comes in, pay some bills, budget out some stuff, ship off Lucky, his chunk of the patron money, and then I'm like, all right, cool, we can order Samurai Remnant, everything's fine. So I was, very patient about making sure my ducks were in a row with all my budgeting and not overspending, It wasn't really a concern, but it's one of those things where, like, I like to keep track of this stuff. Money makes me nervous. It tickles my anxiety. So I was, like, very cool with waiting. Now I'm in there. I'm like, man, this game's good. Well, if you want to talk about, like, my thoughts and my time on target there later, like, I ordered it Wednesday, got 1 day shipping from Amazon, so it arrived Thursday. And I just clocked in a solid, 8 hours of gameplay Thursday all day. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. So I want to get my fashion on, because the new sets for trophy crystals they added for PvP, real cool. Glad that they are completely, unlocked by class. They are dyeable. A lot of people are saying they'll be even cooler when we can get the double dye update. But also, man, swords and stuff.
Swords and stuff.
Yeah. Thank you for your good vibes.
Thank you for your good vibes. Lucky had a bit of an incident getting his Samurai Remnant, because I ordered mine through the publisher, which means I had to go through the United States Postal Service, which operates on its own schedule.
Yes, correct. Uncle Sam plays by his own rules.
So I wasn't able to get mine until a couple days ago, but I am also in it being like, man, this good.
And I mean, obviously we knew it was good, because, like, it actually, we talked about this last week. Sorry, I'm typing. But the Metacritic review was, like, pretty high. Yeah, it's still, 81 PS5 version, the PC version's 82. Oddly enough, there's not actually, like, enough reviews explicitly on the Switch or PS4 versions, but at least in Japan, I believe the Switch version is the most popular.
Usually, yes.
So, like, I assume those things are all good, but yeah, it's, like, it is getting... not, crazy standout, but it's getting positive critic reviews, which is a place that Fate is not usually at. So,
nah.
Like, that means that there must be something to the core game design that's appealing to the broader critical audience. So, like, I knew it would be good. It's just one of those things where it does its work very well. Like I said, we'll discuss that a little more later.
Yeah. But let us move on to the next one. This next one comes from Spooky Arts Enjoyer, who says, hello, Lucky and Omega. After the most recent summer event, I couldn't help but notice all the random Hokusai appearances and events, and how she is nearly every foreigner fight we encounter. Amakusa similarly seems to be a regular ruler boss. Are there any standout servants off the top of your head that you seem to fight on a regular basis? And best of luck rolling on the upcoming Halloween banner. Let's see here. People that we slap on the reg.
I mean, I definitely feel like whenever they do want to do a Moon Cancer boss, it is usually regular BB. They will occasionally switch it to one of the summers. And obviously sometimes, they do Jinako for the funnies. But, like, I think it's just because she's been in the longest, they're like, the BB.
Forgive me, I'm thinking a bit here.
Yeah. I mean, it would probably mostly be the extras this would be noticeable about because those are the smallest, like, pools of characters. Because I'm trying to think, like, there were definitely times in early FGO where you would fight a lot of the same people in, like, events as, like, wave bosses, Like, you have to fight a lot of Leonidas.
I'm not entirely sure, if I'm going to be honest. I'm trying to think of people that I fight on a fairly regular basis, and I can't say that something's immediately coming out to me.
Yeah, it would have to be in the way back when the servant pool was smaller to notice a lot, because there's, what's the total in NA? Did we cross the 300 mark? I think we did. It's a lot. There's a lot of servants, and that means there's a lot to pick from.
Like, usually in, like, a lot of events there, like, in, like, Lotto events, I mean, not Lotto events, but, like, in Neurofest events, like, they usually, actually, I would say in, like, most events, they usually pull out, like, a few servants, and I think they rotate through them, like, pretty regularly. They always give them some sort of jokey name.
Yeah.
And...
I mean, I guess I would say, based on a guess, I don't think this is necessarily tied to a particular class, but, like, I feel like having just done, there was the interlude campaign stuff, and then we did some, actually, no, it came up in summer as well, but also doing, the Halloween flashbacks. Like, Raiko is a pretty popular character to bring up, often including a fight, possibly because she is a berserker, Kyo's been around a long time, so I can say that, yeah, they probably made us fight her a decent amount of times, but not always, There's definitely some ups and downs like that, but not a lot of characters spring to mind. People at home, let us know. Is there any servant you feel like you're fighting all the time? I do agree, though, that I do feel like when they need a ruler boss, it is usually Amakusa.
Well, honestly, when it comes to antagonists, I do think Amakusa's probably the top. It'd probably be that or Estrella.
Yeah, I think since they introduced her, Estrella's in a lot of fights.
Because otherwise you'd have Samba Quetz, Summer Martha, or John, which doesn't necessarily fit the ruler. Or Chishi Wong.
Yeah, and I feel like stuff
like... I fought Chishi Wong in a fucking just a random-ass fight, now that I think about it. No, wait, I think I fought him once in one of the summer events, because he got mad about the fucking casino or something.
Yeah, but, like, he's not... Usually, because he was such an important story character, they, like, hold him back. Martha is usually a supporting character, so, like you said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to fight her. Generally, for some reason, the game does not like to acknowledge that Samba Quetz exists. We still live in the darkness about that one, and, like, yeah, no, generally the way, at least Ruler Jean is, she's not really like an antagonist, we're much more likely to have to fight Jean Alter. Now, Summer Jean, that's a different source, but that's because you have to defend yourself against sister waves. Yeah. And sharks, which are somehow related. Why are those things related? I don't understand. So yeah, no, Amakusa himself is naturally antagonistic, and also I think he's got, as a servant, he has like an interesting gimmick because his NP does the like AoE buff strip. So like his damage is low, but he does a funny thing. Estrella's single target as well, so she can get in there and like kick your butt.
Kick your butt.
Whereas like using Jolter as like a common Avenger enemy, which I don't think happens, would be that would be rough because she's like one of the better offensive servants in the game at different points. We run into Dantes a lot, but he's usually helping us again. Also, usually acting as the bouncer of my dreams. Yeah, I guess if they need a like a shadow servant or a boss who's an Avenger, it's probably Lobo, and that works. We got a decent pool of Avengers. Don't see Salieri a lot now that I think about it. Probably because he was such a big character in Lost Belt 1. That seems to be the signifier. If you were a big character in one of the later story beats, we don't necessarily like to go back to the well too much, though we do occasionally work some people in. Man, like I said, if you will have anybody at home who jumps out at you, leave a comment.
Mm-hmm. I hope there's a point for finding this fucking random ass ninja in all these locations.
It better fucking be.
Alright, but let us move on. This next one comes from the wise, the shrewd, and maybe the crude. Bruh, you had a perfect chance to say the lewd, and you didn't go for it. Coward!
That would actually have the WD. That's not how you spell crude. It is still homophone, so the rhyme works, but
But they say, hello and happy weekend, Jack Omega and Lucky Bunny Bridge. Bunny Bridge, what? Hope your week is going great and sending spooky good vibes. Whoa. This week in the spirit of Spooktober. Remember, probably not, how a few weeks ago you both said you really don't go into what ifs or speculations. What if I had one so good that you had to give it some real thought? Alright, who wants to take bets that it's not actually going to be really good? And I'm just going to be like, meh about it. Taking bets now.
I'm still living back with you going full send on spooky vibes. I'm just good. You got me. Those vibes tickled my funny bone.
Oh, let's see here.
That's a big Lucky Bucks bet, Robin.
Oh, let's see here. Are you ready? Bring your ears closer. Closer. Since Lucky's ringing it, bring your eyes closer instead. Okay, ready. Are you sure? Okay. Spiritron Race Queen dress event. If you could, who are the top 6 girls to get the dress? Cute, Sesky, or Risk? And to add a lucky 7th, which meal would you make a Race Queen dress to? Not Oslo or Dion. It's too easy. You can't see it, but I did the deadpan look to the camera here.
He gymmed very hard.
It's like, really? You give me a what if, and it's just like, hey, who do you want to put in sexy costumes? Really?
I mean, that does usually tickle the brainstem, but then it's like, 6. Why 6? That's so many.
I mean, it's not really. Just put all your favorite waifus in there.
Well, yeah, that's true. It feels like it's a range of, like, if I'm gonna actually think, like, critically about this, that's a lot. But also, it should not be that hard, because I can literally pull out a fucking, support list that has, like, what? How many slots are we up to? Like 10? It's like 3 extra? 10? 11? There's a lot of slots.
Yeah, no. Like, just off the top of my head, I'll do Bargus, Ibuki, Tamamo, Raiko, and which one do I want to do out of them? No, fuck it. Let's go Murasaki. It's like, boom. And if I want to do a guy, fuck it. I can't use Astolfo or Dion. Fine, I'll use Prince of Langling. Prince of Langling
tries to get Pyson to wear the dress, but she does not. He is doomed. She doesn't really have one. It's not in game. I mean, I could literally pull.
Also, by the way, did you know that Mira and Tamamo do have actually official Race Queen costumes?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've been put on cars.
Yes.
As part of a promo. I am a little surprised that FGO hasn't really seemed to lean into that one. I mean, it shouldn't shock Saber as well. Oh, they have figures for those as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Unless are we chat? Were we counting Summer Ishtar earlier? Because that doesn't really, she's wearing a bikini bottom and a hoodie. I mean, well, we discussed it. We didn't eat it immediately.
Yeah. So, like I said, I understand that you're trying to make me do some big thing, but this is the opposite of a big thing. This is just I put my favorite waifus in there and I keep going.
Yeah, honestly, I could. My phone's charging right now. Otherwise, I could grab it and just look at my support setup. I literally just have a support setup for my favorite ladies. All right, just 3 more.
3 more. Next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionado, who says, "Dear Lucky Omega, no question this week. Just sending good vibes and wishing you well. Wah. Keep up the great work. P.S. Despite being in Patreon call when you posted this, my scatterbrain self completely forgot I hadn't posted anything until 5 minutes ago. I blame Praetorium."
How very glib.
Yeah, I slowed down because I was going to think about the same, but no, Omega got me.
No, I was ready with that one when you started reading this one. I'm like, wait, I know how this must end. Yeah, no, that seems to be the trend. There were several of you in the call when we, discussed this strategy, and some people still only chose until today to post, which is fine. You did remember, but we'll see if we can build a better vibology.
Well, we gotta work on things. Things will be changing here. So we gotta be a little bit better. We gotta be a little bit about the comunicado.
Yes.
But let us keep moving on. This next one comes from Cheap Master rating his Losher Grocery for super discount snacks for binge plays. Actually, do I have some seaweed snacks? I've been wanting something salty. But they go on to say, inflation is stinky, among other non-YouTube unfriendly words. No question this time, Lucky Namek, just manifesting October 13th energy. Just manifest it as your stand. Friday the 13th. Let's see.
Shit, now I'm just thinking of stands, but instead of music references, they're references to movie titles.
I can see that.
Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a lot of good old horror movie names. I mean, I bet I can understand what the stand Texas Chainsaw Massacre would do,
Yeah.
Probably someone's chainsaws.
Who doesn't love chainsaws? Okie dokie. Yes. Alright, now we're going to move on to the last one here. This last one comes from the Tyrant King, who is now probably going through a retro Blade binge in the near future. That is a thing.
God, I'm surprised they're still making them, but...
It's still a semi-popular children's toy line. Like I said, they do have, Actually, I do think didn't they just have like a Blade? Wasn't there just a news article about like underground Blade tournaments or something?
I wouldn't be shocked. I think I tried to watch the one of the anime series as a kid, but the days of cable before VODs, I only caught some of them and didn't understand anything. Oh shit! Sorry, I just covered the Patreon chat. Acts as a good one for stand names after movies. RoboCop.
Oh shit! That reminds me. Apparently, there's a RoboCop game coming out, and it actually looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think when it was announced, we mentioned a little. Yeah,
I have to remember that.
But yeah, I actually, funnily enough, like I said, I didn't follow the series very well, but I owned the Beyblade tops, including the plastic arena. I think I only threw out my old, arena last move because it was gross and old and covered in dust. But I've collected a few of the actual tops. Because what child doesn't like to use brightly colored, fast-moving objects which produce a sound you only hear inside of your nightmares? Anyway, there's a question in here.
There's a question. Hey guys, with Samurai Remnant being what I say is a success, and a collab happening sometime in the future, which servants do you guys think will be in the collab banners, which will probably be added sometimes in FGO's life cycle? Anyway, that's it for minutes. Any good vibes your way? Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening. Well, on my part, Saber would definitely be the collab's 5-star, kind of the temple character.
Yep, seems like a pretty easy one.
Tamamo, Arya, probably. Personally, I would like to put her in the welfare slot for said event. She does like to be in a supporting role in this game so far. Even when you get her as a rogue servant, she doesn't actually attack. She just buffs Iori.
Yeah.
So I think a welfare support rider would be interesting.
And while, obviously, normally we let Waterco go pretty nuts, I don't actually think that, Tomo Arya's design necessarily needs to go through all the ascension phases either, because she's got a pretty distinct look,
Personally, I would pass on Ryder. No offense against Raita and the work you do, but I think we have enough Raikos right now, and I do not need either Raiko. Really.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Ryder would be redundant, honestly. And hell, that may have been inspired by that time we had to fight Evil Raiko as a rider during Brain Melt. The 30 OR.
Shimosa,
yes, I was about to say, starts with an S. Yeah, Shimosa. We already did that. I mean, I wouldn't mind an armored Raiko costume. That could be cool, but
Rogue Berserker, who I will, I think I'm just gonna fucking say it because I don't think too many people don't know, but Samson, I believe probably doesn't need to be in a collab, but probably should be released as a 3-star Berserker. I think 3 or 4-star.
Yeah.
I
mean, that sure feels like a 4-star fight.
Sometimes, yeah.
He's a chunky boy.
Rogue Saber, I want a 4-star just so he can match his wife.
Yeah.
That could probably be the banner 4-star. So yeah, so.
Oh
yeah,
god,
so both
wait, Lucky, you've just consigned us to hell. You put 2 sabers on raid up on a banner.
It makes sense though. They like to do this shit. They like to do this shit.
It's true.
And
it fits. I don't know. Well, it depends on when they would do a collab, because characters like Caster and Assassin are more mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a Banner 2 or reserved for later. But they could do some. If they did this, for instance, as a Golden Week collab, that could be far enough along. They throw out some extra shit there.
Let's see. I can't pronounce Archer's name, but he's a Chinese general.
Yep.
He could probably be a 5-star. He actually, I really like his design. I really do.
I really like what they did with him. Also, arguably not a spoiler to say, he's got a couple of names, but I think the common one is what? Zhouyo?
Zhouyo or something like that.
Yeah. Because, literally when you meet him in the story, guys, his master tells you his true name.
Mm-hmm.
Part of a thing. It's fine. But yeah,
It's fine.
he's a famous guy from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, so that would be like a cool one to get in there. And like I said, I also like what they did with his like lore and moveset. I mean, I don't think you could you don't have to make Iori summonable. You could though. He would probably be a saber. He could also be a welfare, but I don't know if he's like famous enough for it.
I don't think he necessarily is, and
I mean, I think
I'm
as
gonna say
his fighting style would be funny, but yeah.
Honestly, I don't think he'd be like. I'm gonna be real, but I've been reading like Iori's lines here, and he seems a little weird for me. So I don't know if I would call him a saber. I'm pretty sure I want to call him a berserker. That boy doesn't seem right in the head.
He was born in the wrong era. You could also make him a caster because it's funny.
Yeah, no, he's kind of like he can just be a berserker like Musashi. But
that would even be his line. He would just say, "Oh, I was imitating my master."
But
Saber does constantly berate him for not being good at fighting.
Caster. Oh, honestly, I don't know. I feel like probably a bronze or a silver servant if I'm going to be real. So I'd probably like Samson in Caster. I'm sorry, I can't actually remember his name because it's fucking obscure. But I would probably like them both to be in another batch of low rarity units out.
Yeah, that would be fun. And they did actually, do a lot with those characters. So there's definitely something to get in there. Maybe because silvers honestly, silvers are still pretty rare.
Yeah.
A new batch of like maybe a silver, 3-star for every class could include a couple of those guys, and obviously probably some new characters. But yeah, that'd be fun for like a New Year's or a anniversary block. But yeah, no, like the probably the most FGO relevant is have Saber as the lead servant, and then like you said, probably Rogue Saber as the number 2. Just because he's introduced fairly early and is, if you play FGO, painstakingly obvious who he is.
Again, that's one of those things I love about the Samurai Remnant. It's like, if you don't play FGO, you might not get it. But also, it's not that important. If you do play FGO, you'll be like, I know that armor.
Also, when he starts to do his thing, I'm like, hey, I know that line. 3-star foreigner Lavinia would be fun.
Yeah, no, we have a backlog of NPCs that we haven't got out, and again, I do hope that we do eventually, but
yeah, I know FGO has said that they won't get everybody just because it is so many, but there's definitely some opportunity to get in there, and I do. There's mostly it's the Gouda Gouda backlog I want to get. Poor fucking Chacha's dad had a fucking unique battle sprite for how many years now? It's a lot. It's like 4 years, 5 years.
That was like year 3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's like 3 or 4-ish years ago. Year 4, yeah. So we're several years he's been chilling. Because Gouda Gouda, the first Gouda Gouda was technically a year 1 event.
Yep.
So yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I mean they did Nobukatsu, so hopefully we can hit there originally. I don't actually require them to do the Lady Yodogiri, but I think it would be funny. But they've made that joke long enough. But yeah, Lavinia was like the only cool character who's not playable out of Salem. Very unique design as well. Yeah, I don't know if that's just the nature of the Gouda Gouda writers. They just like keep adding guys.
Well, you kind of well, that's the pitfall of writing. I would say you have to keep adding new things, otherwise you're just recycling old material. And new things usually require new motivations, which then require new people. Yeah,
and to be fair, like I feel like a lot of the Gouda Gouda writing is done out of. I mean, of course, it makes sense for FGO, but if people don't catch this, it's done out of love for writing about different areas of Japanese history.
Mm-hmm.
So they jump around a lot, but they hit a lot of these notes. And actually, like I'm honestly quite surprised that admittedly, like I said, I'm only like somewhere in the 10 to 12 hour mark, but Samurai Remnant does not actually seem as obsessed with the like, hey, look at this cool historical Japanese thing. Like, obviously the setting is very lovingly crafted, but like most of it's just like, Saber's just like, whoa, what's this thing? You call this a book? Feed me rice and miso soup. Yeah, it's more of a period piece than like historical tourism, as opposed to like say the way Like a Dragon Ishin is phrased. Is just like, look at this guy, this guy, this guy. It's set during a very specific period of history, so you can get a lot of juice.
Juice.
But yeah, so hopefully we can get some more Gouda coverage to, block out a few more characters and I mean, yeah, no, it's that's the thing you got to ask yourself. Do servants get hit with the knowledge of this appropriate era? I feel like Takao Dayu implies that might be happening, but also her servant is the Musashi we know, so she's cheating.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Musashi says that, she's done this up quite a few times so she can explain it.
She explicitly starts to call it a Seihai Senso, as a Holy Grail War, and then stops herself.
Yeah, and you gotta remember, Saber didn't even realize that, having his summoner killed, or their summoner killed, would mean that they would disappear, so apparently no, they do not understand what's happening right now. But honestly, I'm just gonna chalk this up to being a fucking, Holy Grail War knockoff, so something probably got broke in the fucking middle of it.
Red said it was a subspecies. Well, and also, this is very interesting, and not a spoiler, but straight up they say that the number of servants called by the Waxing Moon ritual is 15. It's technically a great Holy Grail War, including there's a ruler. It's just that,
Actually, Omega, I found out something interesting.
Oh.
If you actually pull up the ruler tab in, one of the loading screens, it says that the boss as a ruler is actually outside of the 15.
Oh, he is not? Okay, I thought that might be true.
Yeah.
So that would mean technically 16. But yeah, there's enough for 2 factions.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably just in the logbook.
Yeah, that's in the logbook.
So great, we're being fate boozled. But that's enough for there to be 2 teams, but for some reason we don't have teams. They've there's only 7 masters are selected, but there's enough energy to summon more servants. So yeah, I am assuming that the ritual is not operating on perfectly normal rules, because what Grail War has ever? Fucking Strange Fake, we've got the pilot now so you can hear all the framing. Those guys said, we eliminated the Saber class because it's too fucking OP. And then Saber shows up anyway.
Yeah. By the way, let me read this out because I actually pulled it up. Ruler. This servant of arbitration stands outside of the basic 7 class framework and even apart from the 15 competitors summoned in the Waxing Moon ritual. Further details are unknown.
Yeah, okay, so after having met Ruler, it explicitly calls out that technically he is an extra.
Yeah, so something is going on here.
Does that mean there's a second ruler? Or...
I don't know.
Because, that makes complete sense because Gil is a shitty ruler. Let's be honest.
Honestly, I think he's a perfectly okay ruler. He is being so fucking neutral and just making sure nothing has gone fucking crazy yet.
Yeah, I guess. On the other hand, maybe him standing just down the street from our house, prevents servants from trying to blow up our neighborhood some more.
I don't know. In one of the aggressions you do, Lancer comes by doing his coup run because he smells something. He smells something powerful and he runs into Gil and he's just like, "This son of a bitch! I don't know him, but he's a son of a bitch!" And the Gil's just like, "Ha ha ha, Zashu."
Oh yeah. Gil's great because he's providing work to the small children of our neighborhood, but
and free candy. Honestly, Oh, actually, no. Fuck. That's gonna be our banner too. It's gonna be Ruler Gil.
Boss. Yes.
That would be amazing. It'd be
so good.
I would love that. I would genuinely love that.
His kimono's he's got the drip. He bought a textile merchant shop just so he could sell me weird skulls. My favorite interaction. Oh shit, I need some bones and shit. Hey yo, Gil, take these 2 Buddha statues, give me a weird skull.
Oh man, I would love a Ruler Gil. Really, the proprietor of fucking Babylonia.
Yeah. He's doing work. He's great, but yeah. I feel like being a ruler, this Gil is he's not quite Caskill levels of maturity, but he's better than normal.
No, I personally think he's personally still around the same level. Because I don't know if you got into this digression yet, but at one point he just wanders around Asakura, and he's just all like, and he runs into the girl that gives you the missions, the monster killing missions.
Yeah,
and he's just looking at her. He's like, I need to get me a personal assistant, like someone like Siduri.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, the only digression I've done for him is The one where you get him the incense burner that unlocks selling him your Buddha statues. Which is
Yeah.
also, in its own way, remarkably mature for him, where he's just like, yeah, I don't give a shit about this Buddha thing, but also, like, these statues are good, though. I'll take them.
Yeah. Like, honestly, this more reminds me of his, God, what did he call himself in, the summer events? When Casgill got his summer costume, like...
Oh, yeah, what was his weird amnesia alias? Something with a G in it. Gorgeous P?
Yeah, Gorgeous P. It reminds me of Gorgeous P, where he's more interested in, making a buck and, doing business deals than, he's still lore to get all over one. He's fucking Gil. You can't stop him from doing that. But like I said, he constantly talks about how he's just going to kill people, but he's in a good mood.
Yeah.
Archer Kid would just kill people.
He's having a fun time.
Yeah. But no. Then I guess that means Archer would probably be a 4-star. I think that could still probably work for him. If you did a 5-star Ruler Gil, 4-star Archer, then you would have 5-star
and also
Saber.
The romance of the Three Kingdoms guys are all over the place. Like Lu Bu is rated as a 3-star in this game, which is arguably a low ball.
That really is a low ball. The more I think about it, that man should slap like a fucking truck.
And usually in other games he does. Like he is a monstrosity. Remember those fucking Extella levels where he gets like they do the reverse do not pursue, you are pursued by Lu Bu?
Yeah, no, that's
Go watch out for that shit. Honestly, it's a similar in the factions of Extella, Lu Bu I think occupies the same like ranking in like Tamamo's hierarchy as like Gawain does in Nero's, and Gawain's rated as a 4-star, so those Gawain missions are also a bitch because he's fucking juiced up on artificial sunlight.
Juiced up on Sunny D. Taste the power.
I mean, honestly, we've got. Let's see. Is there? Yeah, no. We've answered the question I think thoroughly, and that was our last one. Honestly, in my show notes, we're already in the zone I put in free talk for Samurai Remnant first impressions. So I think we should just continue on from there.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier. I got my copy Thursday, blocked out the whole day, spent a solid 8-hour shift, plugging away. So I'm somewhere in Chapter 2's guts. I've been informed Chapter 2 is quite long out of the 5 chapters of the game, so, that's where a lot of the action has. But, yeah, overall, very positive thoughts to start out with. Obviously, like, some of this is just because of how much of a fucking weeb I am, but I think the game does a really good job with the opening. Because, you have the mysterious old man folktale times.
Yep.
With some... I love the animation on those little, like, scrollwork storytime divergences.
Oh, yeah, and then they go into the actual animation.
Yes.
So good.
But then we do an in media res to give you your basic tutorial and introduce you to the stakes where you are getting completely bullied by Ryder. And
Also, I do think that is a very important scene because it lets you know immediately there are some things you cannot just bully in this game.
Yeah, no. Because
you start the fight out with fighting a bunch of ninjas, and you can actually and you can get through them pretty quickly. But as soon as you get to the Ryder boss fight, you're just like, oh,
yeah,
oh no.
They introduce several mechanics to you, and it is, as several people in the Patreon chat know, it is possible to lose that fight before you have to lose that fight. Like, if you do not learn your mechanics of evasion and stuff correctly, you will just get killed and have to start over. It's a very fine line. But yeah, no, there's a little bit of work there. I've heard some different descriptions of how the what the mechanics of the game are. Some people say it's kind of like a Muso plus a Souls-like. I think that's just because people have Souls-like brain.
No, I'm gonna call this Muso Light personally.
Yeah, what I want to say the gameplay reminds me the most of, honestly, is a Like a Dragon title. Especially with like your different stances. Yeah, because like when you're playing a Like a Dragon game, usually you are a, unerring engine of destruction. Regular street punks, not really a problem except in large groups, but sometimes they can be chunky, and you have to actually think about some of those bigger boys. And when you get later in those games and get to higher level bosses who have like 6 health bars, you gotta watch yourself, because otherwise you will still get your ass beat,
I was gonna make that comparison, but the thing that I like about the Like a Dragon series is usually the unending amount of just fucking side content and side games to do.
Yeah,
usually
the core mechanisms remind me of a Like a Dragon, but it's not quite that. The content isn't styled the same. Yeah, it's not like the endless simulator of stuff. There's much more limited mini games. I would also say, despite being Fate and despite being very anime-esque, Samurai Remnant is arguably, like, at least when it comes to gameplay, a little more. I don't know if grounded's not the right word, but like it's a little less over the top. Like when you start Like a Dragon Ishin, you don't have to get very far before you can access the what was it, wild style, and start spinning like a top, firing your gun in one hand and your katana in the other, right?
Right.
Whereas even when you get access to the third stance, the wind style, which is arguably so far the like weirdest, most Fate, because that's magecraft plus sword, that's still like very minimalist and withdrawn as far as magic goes. You mostly resign yourself to caster balls and like spraying fire and stuff. So it's more, like I said, more reserved. It does not go balls to the wall immediately, but there are still some great hitters.
Well, I think the reason why he doesn't want to go balls to wall immediately, because again, they want to slam into that fact that Iori is just a normal person. He's a swordsman. He knows some magic, but he's going up against servants.
Yeah,
a lot of the time. So if you could do unending amounts of bullshit with your styles, you would just probably find a way through here because oh man, God, like. Fighting Rogue Berserker is an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience I had to do several times. Thankfully, the game, if you don't die immediately, the game does give you a gut check, which is like, hey, buddy, you're going to die. Do you want to do this? And a couple of times I had to be like, nope, I'm going to come back later.
Yeah, the only reason I sat down and do it because I got the thing where it says, hey, if you go home, you will not be able to do any more digressions. I'm like,
oh, you got
okay.
To the point where it okay. I didn't hit that point. I managed to get it done a little before that, but yeah, no. So, and this is something I've seen other people praise it for, but I agree with these sentiments, and I want to agree with the statement that was made last week about, is this the best jumping on point for the Fate franchise? I think so, yes.
Yes.
Like, because Iori's not an idiot. I don't want to say he's a dumbass. Like, he's not like Emi Ashiro levels of, like, his skull is made of lead. He's quite intelligent, actually, but in, like, a weird Musashi way.
I think
disciple.
They praised something that has been praised for him a lot is his open-mindedness. He will just accept things.
Yes.
And keep going.
He's very, and this makes sense, for both the characterization thing and why Musashi would have picked him as a disciple. He is flexible in the mind area, which is what a lot of the actual lessons of the Book of the Five Rings is about. Like, it's about, being open-minded in your tactics and figuring out your best way to defeat everyone.
This is why Iori can, use dual magecraft.
Yeah.
Thanks, Grandpa Book.
Yeah, so, like, Iori's not an idiot, but he's also very open-minded, so he just kind of, after a little bit of thinking and internal monologue, accepts a lot of stuff that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But because he doesn't know what's going on, and because Saber has only the vaguest ideas of what's going on, you do get these classic Fate moments where somebody has to, like, straight up explain to you everything. Also, by the way, love I know we saw them already, like, in the press, but when they unveil them in-game, love the fucking Japanese-styled servant class container arts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But so you actually get everything explained. We talked about some of this stuff earlier with, like, if you are not new to Fate, you will start to notice Fate-like things. Like you mentioned this earlier, I think that was on Mike, but the intro is very much an homage to the classic introduction of Fate Stay Night.
Yep.
Saber has their own version of the
Saber walking around Iori is a callback to Fate Zero, actually.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I do believe there is a couple other. Oh, I actually do.
Spell accidentally is intentional.
I think God damn it, I can't remember the courtesan's name. She has interesting Ren parallels because she has a servant related to
that's
the main
her rank, dumbasses. There's multiple Dayus. She's Takao Dayu.
Yeah, Dayu's a rank. That's why I couldn't remember. It's like Takao Dayu. But not only is she has a servant related to Iori's plans, but and her scene is actually when a lot of the exposition is done.
Yeah, she explains stuff to Iori because I assume in this case because she just likes gossip, but she knows a lot about what's going on.
Mhm.
Also, by the way, all the character designs in this game are great, but
I love the design so much. I met
so
the fucking I can't remember her name, Dorothea. I actually got more detail. I was like, oh my god.
No, there's a lot. Also, by the way, the level of production value in this game is great because cutscenes are usually voiced, but also have a text box.
Mhm.
But you have not only do you have like every character has like an expression sheet, just like FGO a lot of the time, which moves in line to the lip flaps, but also their models are moving, so their models will move their mouths. They will do ambient animations and like gestures and stuff as you do things. So like very high production values on all of this, and it's real.
That Saber has a
nice.
mouthful sprite that will move.
Yeah,
like when they're eating. So I'm just like
no,
sometimes
there's
with eye
all
sparkles.
kinds of great
it's
stuff.
Oh god, it's so good.
Musashi has great expressions. I mean, everybody knew that already, but there's a lot of work done there. But yeah, so like you run into Takadai. She explains a lot of this stuff to you. I mean, like, it's not a 1-to-1, but Rogue Berserker is very much like giving you those classic Herc vibes.
Yeah.
Just like he even talks in all, the classic, squiggly letters. He is just an indestructible beast of a man. Stuff like that. There are multiple like team ups that are proposed. So like there's a lot of references to Fate Stay Night and to other Fate works. Obviously, like we said, if you are already a fan of FGO and other bits of Fate, you will catch a lot of this stuff.
Yes.
You will start seeing these things. I mentioned that like if you have a Tomoe Gozen and use her, when you meet Rogue Saber, you will be like, I see. Like, their designs are very similar for a reason, and when Rogue Saber shows up, he starts to use his Noble Phantasm and says a starting line from Tomoe's Phantasm, you know? So, like, there's stuff going on there that's, like, got those good notes. Once again, like, when you actually see Ryder in motion, I'm just like, yeah, no, I know who this is. By trying to hide it, you've tried too hard, and I'm like immediately like, okay, no, I understand what ballpark we're in now.
Well, like I said, they do kind of hide it because you think it's one, but then it's actually another part of that same thing.
Yeah, but like I said, it's good enough to be in there that you can get those vibes. Also, there are things though that are still like mysterious, like Lancer and Chiemon. Like, I mean, he does early mention Shimabara, obviously, right?
Actually, that's really interesting. Like, if we're post Shimabara Rebellion, we should actually be in the isolation period and in the everyone give up your fucking swords period of Japan's history. But, there's everyone still riding around with swords, and the Dutch are apparently still landing.
Yeah. Though Iori does say that foreigners are unusual. So yeah, there. And I think as usual with Fate, we may be in a different world line anyway. Like there's.
I do. Nasu has confirmed that this is a pruned timeline.
Yeah. So there are definitely like notes that don't make sense. Like for instance, chronologically, like according to historical notes, I think Iori should be like in his 30s at this point.
Yes, and I do believe Dorothea, while it is based off a real person, I think she's only supposed to be like 11 at this point or something.
Yeah, so they've done the usual Fate thing where like wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff is bent to make the story cooler than to be literal historical fiction, but it still works aesthetically as a period piece, But yeah, so like Chiemon is a guy who survived the Shimabara Rebellion and he's all burnt up and stuff. Honestly, calling back to like lots of this design is used in a lot of historical set anime and manga and stuff. But that means he's with Lancer, who is obviously design wise very clearly a Jean Alter, but also has a different Noble Phantasm, and we've never seen her use exactly these spears before. So it's like, okay, is this like supposed to be a 1-to-1 or what? We'll see.
I had a thought and I fucking lost it. God damn it.
Oh, there's a lot of thoughts about this game. But, well, yeah, this Lancer Jean is not like... she's not an Avenger, so she's not mad all the time. There was a lot of dialogue in Shinjuku about how Avengers work. She's not an Avenger, so she's not literally consumed by hatred at all times. But, there's a lot of stuff there. We're running into servants who are ahead of time. We get, proposals for alliances. I would also argue that our Juge Buddy is, also I feel like almost like a little bit of a playing Rin's role as well as the master of Archer who immediately offers to team up,
Yeah.
Like there's a little stuff like that. So there's lots of these parallels you will catch off and on, but it also is doing a lot of its own unique things, and that's really cool, especially with like the way they intermingle the extra servants and the rogues. Tamamo Arya is obviously very clearly, doing her own thing, being our first look at this member of the Tamamo 9. She appears to be Tamamo's discarded gremlin energy. But I can tell, which I couldn't from the key art, but I can now tell why she is a rider, because she's constantly being accompanied by a giant fox that nobody comments on. Though, there is a dialogue when you go back to Ueno later where a guy is like, "Oh, hey, where did that fox girl go?" And the other guy's like, "Are you okay, man? What are you talking about? Did you get bewitched?"
Yeah, actually, I think this says like bewitched by a fox.
Yeah, because clearly, servants and spirit forms and stuff, normies can't necessarily pick up on all of this. But yeah, there's a lot of
she's a writer because she comes from the Maeve school of writing, manipulating men.
Yeah.
But
it's a great jump on point because there's enough exposition, enough setup to get you involved, and obviously there is a lot going on with ley lines, magecraft, the rogue servants, as well as all the regular masters and stuff. But it doesn't feel overwhelming, right?
Right.
It introduces everything in a pretty orderly, points, and it's got a great system with the logbook and everything to keep you apprised to track everybody. Both if you want to track stats, and also they literally have a section called I think is it Edo terms? It's not Edo slang, but there's just a list for locations, sayings, Edo sayings. I think is exactly what it's called. Yeah, terminology. They don't over-explain things in dialogue and let you have this method to catch up with stuff if you want to. So it's a real good one. I will say early on, I do kind of my one niggle is that there are a couple of times I feel where they tried a little too hard earlier to kind of do the classic Fate turnaround thing narratively in the gameplay. There are a couple of fights and these leyline battles where I'm in gamer brain mode and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be really tough. How am I going to accomplish this in, X turns of movement? And then you get part of the way through and the game is don't worry, we bailed you out. But also you can't, you have to actually still do the work. It's not a free win or anything. So it did feel a little early on, I was just hitting these moments where I'm oh man, this is going to be a real tough fight. I got to do all this work against Lancer, and Chiemon comes back, and then I actually get through the fight a little better. I'm oh, okay, we're just moving on to something else. But I think it's getting better about that just as I naturally level and the game gets deeper. I was gonna have complaints about lacking defensive options, but I have been slowly grinding out my Earth stance, and actually there's a guard in there, and stuff like that. So it takes a little bit to get in there, and I think they do a good job of not overwhelming you with all of your combat options and upgrades right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you might feel early you have some limited options, as you get into the game, it's pretty easy to start leveling up and making those improvements, and I think it works very well. But yeah, the gameplay is fairly tight and good, and I like a lot of the systems. I think it's a little interesting, and I'm not sure why they exactly went that to make not 100% because he also does some other stuff in Wind Stance, but your default magecraft is he already does gem magecraft, and I'm kind of that seems a little, on the nose for a reference, and also very expensive. But I mechanically I think it works for giving you, rather than give you a mana bar you constantly have to manage all the time, you just have ammo for your spells, and your actual spell is very flexible.
Yeah, they do drop on rank. I have 43 right now, and I know you can buy them from the boss, and you can make them in the workshop.
Yeah, but and the amount of spells you get are actually I like this as you can equip 4 slots, but they've got multiple flavors you can do. There's several types of attacking spells. There are offensive and defensive buffs. There are multiple healing spells if you're into that. There are skill upgrades to make it easier to cast healing spells. So it's a good system. It was just kind of when I first saw him bust out the gems, I was kind of okay, this seems we're hitting a little hard on the references, but I think it makes sense more mechanically.
Well, like I said, Grandpa Grimoire, Grandpa Red, is apparently like some sort of arcane book that Musashi had, and he was the one who taught Iori gem magecraft.
And that I
So-
appreciate as like another source of exposition. And I don't know why, but I never questioned the idea that, Miyamoto Musashi might have picked up a weird talking book on magic. Nah, it's fine. And he's a great character. Honestly, like I said, all of the characters, both design-wise and like, I don't know, general characterization-wise, very well made.
Yeah, no, I am interested to know what everyone is about. Like, I don't think there's a character who I'm like, I don't care about you. I can live without you. I'm like, every person I see, I'm like, no, tell me your story. I want to know. And I think that's probably like one of the best feelings you can have in a game.
Yeah, like there's Iori's younger foster sister. She's great. It's funny because I feel like her role in the story is kind of like what Taiga's was in the original Fate Stay Night, but it's like reversed. Because Taiga is Shiro's teacher and landlady basically,
and
kinda like
basically
his big
older sister surrogate. Yeah.
and her being your younger sister who misunderstands, and Iori's just like, no, it's not like that.
Never listens.
She's not paying attention to me. It's fine. But yeah, no, there's a lot of good stuff. And again, the period piece parts work because Iori's a Ronin. He's not with anybody because he's trying to like perfect his swordsmanship, but also live by a path of peace.
That's why I say I think there's something wrong with this boy.
I mean, he's trying to, at least on paper, I would assume he's trying to probably reach Void. So he's trying to perfect his swordsmanship, but he's left with the message that old man Musashi gave him to find his new way to perfect this craft. But as both Musashis keep saying, he was born in the wrong era. Which era exactly do they mean? Not sure.
I think he was supposed to be born in an era of violence, for that is what he knows best.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he probably would have done pretty well in like the Sengoku, because he's, despite the fact that Saber often berates you for how weak and unskilled you are.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're weak and unskilled as opposed to a fucking ancient hero, but like I said, Iori can send mooks flying perfectly fine.
Yeah, but like I think the only reason why the streets are not bathed in blood is because Iori Iori doesn't really have bloodlust. Like, he doesn't ever seem eager to fight. He's just good at fighting and trying to be better. But his day job is basically doing odd jobs for the local constables and stuff.
No, several servants say that he's like, he has a good soul and stuff, but I think Iori's happiest is when he's in a fight. I think that's the way I put it.
Yeah, no, because he they have cute little dialogues after every fight, and stuff like that. But there's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of fun you can do, back at home. Like, there's eventually a mini game you unlock to carve Buddha statues.
Don't forget your sword maintenance.
Yes, you also have to maintain your sword. It's even funnier when both Saber and your sister are there because they both look over your shoulder with the fucking paper in their mouth while you do the little timing game to, tap the blade, which serves a purpose that gives you an EXP bonus.
Yep.
You remodel your house after Ryder blows it up to add a workshop, which is nice, and they explain like all of that stuff.
You can upgrade it.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised by the access the leyline mechanics because I don't feel like those were heavily shown in the trailers, but
I think they kind of were because the leyline mechanics is basically what the whole pseudo Grail front mechanic is you just accessing ley lines so you can get enough power so you can break bounded fields, thump on other people,
cut off access of enemy mobs to magical energy.
Yeah,
and
but they never explained that it was the ley lines though. You just
they may have shown it off and on in some of the trailers, but they didn't go in depth. But no, it's like an actual decent chunk of the actual gameplay is these little tactic maps, and I like that kind of flexibility. There are a few fights early that seem not exactly scripted, but have very obvious directions the game wants you to go to trigger certain events.
Yeah,
but at the very least, those are very easy to tell because they have a button to ask Grandpa Red for advice, and he will just tell you where the game wants you to go next. And if the game doesn't want you to do something specific, he does just say, do whatever you think's best. So I appreciate they've got those signifiers. Some of them, like I said, they are a little scripted, but it's still, got a decent amount of depth. And then they start adding stuff to it as you get, like, upgrades. I do like that it, permanently increases Iori's magic stat.
The thing I don't like about this, some of those scripted ones, if you don't go, like, sometimes they will force you to go in certain directions, though. Like, I remember this one time, like, if I had just, like, if I was, basically there's a mechanic. If you basically can surround all the nodes of a thing, you can just capture that node for free, so that's really good for, catching free nodes. I remember there's a time that if I had taken a step back, excuse me, I could have, captured a free node, and it's one of the, no, excuse me. It was one of the free the stat up nodes. I could have captured it and not necessarily lost much because there was no enemies and stuff. But Grandpa says we're not going that way, Iori. We're going towards this other place. I'm just like, it's just one square away. It'll be fine. It was not fine. They did not let me go back. So I'm just like, ah.
Yeah, there's a couple cases like that, and like I said earlier, with some of the fights are like scripted but not scripted. You know, where you're not really going to win the fight, but if you die too early, you die. But I think a lot of that is still in service of trying to capture the feel of the game. So it's like, for me, it's like a fleeting annoyance of just like, that moment where like, oh, okay, I'm fighting Lancer. Okay, she fucking obliterated me. All right, we'll go again. Boys, it's taking a long time. And then it's like, oh, okay, I just whittled her down a little and we did a cutscene. Okay. But then, the next part is where I get to play as Musashi and I'm like, this is rad.
It was rad.
And I will say that, like, the core gameplay, if you haven't picked up this game, if you're not sure about these kinds of character action games, core gameplay is pretty simple. You have a light attack button and a heavy attack button. Like every, Muso-type game ever, your lights flow into your heavies. There's, a whole branching combo path. I like that your action guide very explicitly tells you what the difference between, like, tap and hold is, and also telegraphs those for you multiple times. So it's very easy to pick up. As we said, Iori has access to jewels, which let you use your, equipped magecraft spells, which, like I said, come in a wide variety and use different numbers of jewels. You also have access to different stances. Earth stance is one sword. It is defensive focused. You even have a little bar called Fortitude, which automatically guards attacks for you. At first, I was a little bothered by the fact that the game says, oh, your Fortitude will come back shortly in its own time, and I'm just like, how short is shortly? It don't feel very short. But as I have been...
don't think I've ever seen it recover, actually.
I've put enough points in it so that I have 2 bars of Fortitude, and I have actually had some fights go on long enough that it does recover. But like I said, I've put a decent amount of points in it, so like, it's not... I really wish they were a little more specific about that recover after a short time, but it does actually recover. The game is not lying to me, but sometimes it feels like it's not a short time. And you are, especially early, limited in your defensive options. You have just an evade to start. Like I said, there's an upgrade in the Earth stance to turn your basic heavy attack into also a guarded stance. So if you hold the button, you enter guarded mode, and then if enemies hit you, you can turn it into a counter. If you get the right skill upgrades, if you perfect dodge, you can riposte.
Yeah.
Which is also usually very good. So
I will say, I feel like the dodge window is very, very awkward because there is no attack canceling. Once you start an attack, you have to fucking finish it or get hit. You cannot evade out of it, which usually gets me.
Yeah, that's the one thing is that there's no... It's definitely not like a Platinum Games type action game.
Mm-hmm.
There's, like you said, there's no animation canceling unless that's like a later skill upgrade. So, like, when you commit, you're committed. So you better commit correctly, otherwise, Rogue Berserker will grab you by the face and powerbomb you into the ground, and you will be dead. When I first did that fight, when I was, first day in the game, just started chapter 1 and go there and I'm like, oh, it's a divergence. I'll check it out. He grabbed me and power slammed me and I died at full health. And I'm just like, well, we'll come back later.
Yeah, no, shout out to them. They do tell you, hey, this is really hard or you want to do this. I do think they do 2-factor authentication. I think they ask you twice if you want to do this.
Yeah. Because usually there'll be a character moment where, like, Saber or, Grandpa will be like, hey, if you go back to that district, you still don't, even though I did have stuff to tell her, they're like, you still don't have stuff to tell Tara Dai. You're not due for your meeting yet. And then the game is like, hey, if you go here, you're going to run into a powerful fight. Are you sure?
So at least shout out to, giving me the warning. But at the same time, it's like, man, he did not play around.
No, he does not fuck around. And you will find out. But, yeah, so you have different stances. Earth is really good for defensive. Earth has, like, honestly, a very generous once per fight revive. Like, it's a full HP revive if you go down. So, like, that's like, good. Water stance is 2 swords. It's good for crowd control. When you execute heavy attacks, you send enemies flying, and those will, like, stun and damage further enemies. There's an upgrade there to, like, briefly slow time after you would do a heavy attack, shit like that. So, like, that's very flexible for crowds, and then eventually, as you start unlocking your workshop, you can access other levels. Wind stance is 1 sword plus magecraft, and it's good for monsters, because yes, there are monsters in this game. There are monsters in the school, Tom. Some of which will have recognizable designs from FGO, and some are brand new, which I appreciate. They picked some of their favorites, but they did not necessarily overly rely on, like, tie-ins. Like, I even spotted some shared, like, tracks. Like, a lot of your boss fights play, is it it might be a Guda Guda, but I think it's the Shimosa Grand Battle theme.
I'm not sure.
It's definitely a piece of music that's in FGO already, they use for some of the boss fights. Yeah, Soul Eaters are there.
Yeah, let's see. The Soul Eaters, the Phantom Oni Warriors. Those are just the big samurai.
Yep.
The Ghost, the Gaki.
There's big red Onis as well.
Big red Onis as well. The 2 new mobs that I've seen. Well, skeletons are universal.
Yeah, I mean the skeletons are Japanned up with, like, some samurai.
Oh well,
Japanese
everything's
samurai.
Japanned up. Even the ghosts are Japanned up.
The ghosts have, like,
Soul
heads
Eater,
as
the Soul Eater looks like a lion dragon or dragon lion.
And they explicitly call that out in its description too. But yeah, so, like, skeletons are skeletons, ghosts is ghosts. No giant ghosts yet.
You will run into sea fiends later.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they are big. Jesus, they are big.
Honestly, they were pretty big in Zero as well. These some goopy guys. But yeah, new mobs. There's Onibi.
Yep.
And Curse Lanterns.
There's Tube Foxes.
Yes.
They don't call them that though, but that's what I recognize them.
They're just fox spirits.
Yeah.
And then there's a bigger fox spirit as, like, the mini boss version. So, like, they have a lot of enemy variety. Even, like, regular human dudes, there are, sword boys and arrow boys, and the mini bosses have a couple of different variants. Like, there are big sumo type guys, there are sword guys, stuff like that. So, like, there's a lot of layers, and, one of the things, like I said before, this game is being praised for that I agree on, is that, like, they do the power scaling of Fate very well. Iori is good at swords. When you fight other humans who have swords or bare hands, you are probably going to win. If you're, like, an idiot and don't, like, block or dodge attacks, or, make sure to break enemies doing deadly attacks, or attack into their guard stance and let them counter easily, shit like that, like, you'll still get knocked around, but it's very hard to lose those fights unless there are a fuck ton of enemies or you're being dumb. Monsters, almost all are universally tanky, even the basic mob types. Like, they are chunky, they don't take a lot of knockback unless you're hitting them with real big shit. And they can definitely clean your clock if you're not careful. And they usually have, also a lot more fancier attacks, like Soul Eaters, puking lightning. The Samurai Ghosts will do, like, giant jumping attacks and stuff like that. Cursed Lanterns spit a lot of fireballs at you. And then the next tier up from that is Servant Battles, which are almost universally, like, a serious fight every time. Like, not necessarily have all of them been like, oh shit, I'm gonna die all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it was just because I, was doing divergences in side content, but the first fight I had with Ku was like, I was like, oh, I can actually get hit and not die immediately. Though, who knows, Ku might just be warming up. He does say after you do that he wants to fight again, so there's some wiggle room there, but, like, there's still serious fights where you will absolutely get slapped around and knocked back if you're not careful. There's a kind of, like, stamina or stance type bar in that some enemies have what they call shell.
Mm-hmm.
Which you have to break before you can do full damage to their HP bar. You still do a little chip damage, which I appreciate, but it's not a lot. You're not going to win a fight just by doing chip damage. You got to break the shell and wait for big enemies to have, like, gaps after their attacks.
I do like that their gaps are color-coded. They, like, turn blue for a little bit.
Yeah, they have this kind of, like, bluish-white glow.
And then when it's gone, that means they're ready for another attack. So when it's time to stop and back off.
Yeah, there's a lot of good cues to let you know, like, when stuff's serious. normal attacks will like bounce off enemies in Shell, so the game encourages you to use Magecraft. But again, there's an upgrade in Earth that means your attacks don't bounce off enemies. There are multiple skill upgrades in different rings to let you like do more damage versus Shell and stuff like that, which I appreciate. Because that does seem to be the mechanic that is like, it's not really the worst, but it's definitely the thing people notice the most is when you run into an enemy with Shell, you are going to be there for a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to do some wailing. And there are multiple ways around this.
There are, like, you have your affinity bar, which lets you do your attacks with servants.
Yep.
Saber will be the most one. Trust me, I get a lot of work out of fucking Breaking Wave. That shit does a lot of fucking damage, and it, like, decimates shell bars. I think the problem I have most with, like, the affinity and the substitute mechanic, though, is it takes a while to build on their own. So I don't ever feel comfortable using them in, like, normal battles. I find myself always saving them for, like, a mini-boss or a boss.
Yeah. The best way, I think, definitely substitution, I say, for a real fight. Affinity is easier to build, because if you, drinks at food stalls will get affinity. That's not guaranteed, obviously, but you can usually find a couple running around. Also, I believe...
it's, sweets.
Oh, is it specifically sweets? Okay.
Yeah.
I've mostly seen it out of, like, barley tea or honey tea, but those are also sweets, yeah. But, like, it grows, and there are upgrades to make it grow better and faster and do more damage and stuff.
Yeah, you can get more pips, too.
So, yeah, that's another, thing to increase your total bars. Iori has his own, version of the Noble Phantasm mechanic where you've got your Valor attack.
Yeah, Valor's another one I feel that does not really build that quickly either.
No, I think the game does. That's another thing that you can refill with food. The game wants you to, like, spend cash on food to do that, but I'm like, but I need cash for upgrades. You gave
me a base upgrade system. I'm gonna do that.
Which also helps me solve my Valor problem. And those are also, by the way, those are fucking expensive.
Yeah, they are.
Even when I'm fucking, making like 3K a pop selling the boss Buddha statues.
This is why I spend sometimes just running around town picking up people's garbage.
Oh yeah, no, which is another great thing that I love. Like, depending on where you're at in the story, you can freely access any of the neighborhoods in Edo you've been to before, which lets you fight randos to grind out commissions and stuff. And also, usually whenever you leave and come back, like, minor loot respawns. So there's, like, valuables, there's mountings, which, trust me, you know me, chat. You know I love a Pimp My Sword system.
Oh, no, I actually really do think this is fairly unique, and, instead of, like, having your equipment be, like, your weapon, your offhand, your armor, shoes, whatever, no, it's just all sword. It's just the different parts of the sword. I think that's actually really fucking rad.
Yeah, no, it's, like, imagine the sword skins cosmetics from Ghost of Tsushima, but now this is your entire equipment set. Like, it's, charms, handle wrappings, guard, and scabbard. And yes, there is an upgrade to your workshop that lets you upgrade your mountings and eventually change what their effects are as well. Because they have, like, I do kind of feel like sometimes I'm just, like, awash in stuff that is, like, way lower stat boosts than what I've got equipped, But you can dismantle them at your workshop for materials then as well. So it's, like, it's not a big deal. And it's fairly painless. But yeah, there's a lot of them look really nice. And like you said, you can level them up and customize them if you want to try and get specific looks going. So like there's a lot of these little things to do this grind out, and it's very accessible that way. And yeah, like he was saying, Iori will have to work hard to beat enemy servants, but when you get access to playable servants, whether it's your own saber for usually limited time or team up combos, or some story segments just have you straight up play as other servants, and stuff like that.
Sometimes other servants will just join you on the field as well.
Yes.
Because we haven't really talked about it, but there's something that I think is fairly unique about this is that even though you mainly play as Iori and you can switch to Saber, Saber is on the field with you doing attacks.
Yes. Saber is always there almost always there as an NPC companion to help you out, doing basic combos, guards, occasionally throwing out, like heavy attacks. And then, and I believe this is completely free of your like affinity gauge. Sometimes Saber will just decide to hit you, be like, hey, Iori, I'm going to do a link combo. Get over here.
Yeah, no. I do believe that is based off your memory ring. I'm not entirely sure.
Makes sense.
But, Yeah, no, so yeah, it's pretty cool. And also, I do believe that once in a while, if you get hit with a heavy attack, Saber will intervene.
Yep.
And with a combat too, so it's like, yeah.
And so you can in a fight just use your affinity gauge to have Saber or other servants use their special moves, which have a wide variety. There's quite a lot of them that are really good for Saber. When I just need a quick and dirty blast of some guys, Raindrops is pretty good because it's only one. But yeah, the fucking wave riding attack is just it's worth those 3 pips, y'all.
Oh no, yeah, no, I that is you like. I'm not to be shameful of the other ones, but that's what I usually save my 3 pips for, because it's AoE, it does a lot of damage, it destroys the shell.
Yeah,
it's so good.
So like, there's a lot, and there's more utility to unlock. I tried the big like golden one, but the fact that hits everybody, including Iori, when you do it, I'm just like, nah, this is not really worth it.
I have not tried that one out. Yeah,
you need to like jump it up, but it's rough. I would just prefer to because you've only got 4 slots. I would prefer to use something I can use more. Yeah, there's I haven't unlocked it yet, but there's one I can see access to that's got like Saber does a like AoE that slows down enemies.
Oh yeah, it does the little pool thing.
Yeah,
I have that one. I've never tried it though.
There's a lot of combinations there, and it does seem that you do not necessarily have to have them equipped to do the link attacks. Like sometimes Saber will call it to do Waterfall, even though I don't have that one equipped because I've got Whirlpool and the Continuous Blast. And there's a gauge that, pulls up your substitution gauge, and then when you use it, you can, I don't know if you need a tooltip for that axe. With rogues, you would just sense it by looking at them. But, you can switch to Saber temporarily and go into the fight, and there are some limitations to this. It's interesting that the game does not, for plot reasons and other stuff, the game doesn't give you access to Saber's Noble Phantasm super attack right away. Whereas like when you get to that playable Musashi segment, you can do that, and I did often. That bar fills pretty fast. I was able to do it several times in that segment. So that's basically like Saber has their own version of Iori's Valor attack, which is just like your big boy, Muso type game. Like, okay, push the big button, beat up everybody on the screen, blast them all. Again, not that you necessarily need that because Saber's normal affinity attacks can be quite long range and wide striking. Saber's like heavy attack combos are really intense. I love the one where Saber like forms the cage out of water.
And then just bounces off everything.
Around. No, like there's a lot of really good like animations and visual quality in this game. Like that's we're not just saying it's a good jump on because of like, oh well, they explain all the plot stuff to you, and they put you in the setting, but also like genuinely the game's very appealing.
Well, yeah, no, it's a good modern Fate game that isn't mired down by microtransactions or age, I guess is the best way to say.
Yeah, and it's a modern game, but it's also not like so modern because they're not like chasing tech that this is available on last gen. You can get it on Switch and PS4 as well. So like it's stylized so they can still bring you that aesthetic power without blowing up your machine or anything. And so far, been looking at it. Seems to run very well, looks very well, good music, good voice acting all around. And yeah, it's solid. We'll probably have, like I said, like a full review at some point when we're both caught up. And then maybe a supplemental for like New Game Plus run stuff, because when you do the New Game Plus, you will just get different event triggers. Like there are some, I assume it's mostly divergences, but there might be some main story stuff that just doesn't happen until you do a New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
But still, very solid, really well made, and I like it a lot. And as several other people have gotten in, like, I think it's been a while since we've had a nice, like, what should we call it? Like, just a nice new, like, fresh Fate property to dig into, right?
Right.
Like it, not an adaptation of something that's already out technically. I assume the DLC is just going to be characters. I think they've got a plan for like 4 DLC packs, I think they said? Or is it 5?
Was it 5? I thought it was 3. I don't know.
Probably 3 or 4 then. I think we know 3 for sure.
Oh man, if actual Tomomo showed up, I'd find that fucking hilarious.
That would be very funny. I mean, obviously Tomomo plays presumably very differently to how Arya would play because Arya has a giant fox and a giant sword. But yeah. I think it's 3 they've got announced out of probably a planned 4 is I think what the vibe was. That may, though, have just been people speculating like, oh, well, there'll be a 4th. And I think it's just going to be DLC characters. I am kind of interested to see who they would introduce to this kind of thing. Because, like... Oh, hold on. Sorry. Well, I've been even more vindicated. Because as we are recording, FGO USA just tweeted out Albert and Michael are going to be back for another Broadcasting Light branch on the 10th of October for a new limited time event, Halloween Rising, The Queen of Dust and the Disciple of Darkness.
Yeah.
Which I believe is a fairly literal translation of the subtitle for the event in JP. So, yeah, that'll be live in 3 days. There you go. Breaking news. I mean, Amakusa would be funny for a fighting style because he just throws black keys. I'm trying to think, like... I mean, it's selfish, but I think Kentoki would be fun in this style of game. Fucking slinging around the axe.
I would love Kentoki.
And then using his, like, thunder shells. Like, there's some good shit. He'd have some moves. I don't think we would do Ibuki for raisins. Shooting would work.
Shooting maybe, not Ibuki.
I mean, again, I don't think it's a spoiler, but if you have an Ibuki and use her, you will probably notice that when Saber tries to use their Noble Phantasm in that opening segment, when the water sheath is gone, the sword they are drawing looks very similar to that thing Ibuki has. Though, Ibuki does, by her own admission, say that she thinks that technically every different name of the Kusanagi is, like, a different aspect of the weapon, and therefore, like, technically a different Noble Phantasm. But, yeah.
But Ibuki and fucking Saber probably have a not-so-great history, so...
Yes. Also, just, I think it is technically the same one, because Ibuki's Kusanagi is the blow away 7 mountaintops and create 7 rivers. It's very wet. But yeah, no. Shuten would be interesting, though, because I think for an action game like this, there is a lot you could do with her. Like, obviously, she can do, poison attacks, debuffs, set up mines. I know that there is because I have been poisoned by, on Myoji, there is... And snakes. Snakes will poison you.
Snake.
But, like, I've been, spit poison on. So there's a poison mechanic in the game that, like, Shuten can have on some of her attacks. But also, like, generally, Shuten's combat style is very interesting because she has a sword that she, conceals in her gourd. But also, she's got her own unique Noble Phantasm of just punching people's bones out.
No, Axe. They do not.
Yeah, there's stuff going on there.
There's some stuff going on there, but
and yeah, no, I think your guess is wrong. How familiar is everybody with their Nihon Shoki? Also, yes, I am fairly certain you are interpreting Saber's dream wrong.
Yes.
That's definitely after that thing. That's a later era. Though I appreciate kind of like this shine on like why Saber is constantly like, you're so weak because you're normal. You are a normal human. We're fragile.
Excuse me.
Generally, heroes involve killing a lot of people.
Actually, Meg, I have a question. Have you ever got binding reflexes to proc?
I do not know, honestly. Like, I've got a couple of abilities that equip it, but I don't actually know if it's ever procced. There is some... I think it's in Water Stance. There's some stuff that makes evasion better. But I don't know. There's not like I don't think there's like a giant sign that says evade. You probably just, get hit but don't take damage. And normally you probably don't notice. I'll keep an eye out for it. Because obviously while this, episode is editing and percolating, I'll get back in there. Yeah, I think that's the best way to say it. Somebody in our Patreon chat has said, I think I've had it proc, but I can't say for sure. But shocking nobody, our like initial thoughts of Samurai Remnant have gone on for about an hour. So we will probably like discuss everything, probably get some full spoiler stuff into the lore, but like as I was saying earlier before we got sidetracked slightly by some news and stuff, this, and not just for me, but for a lot of people, this is like a brand new Fate property, all new characters and stuff, got people's brains percolating over this. And I do like that the game does continue to keep track of, servants and stuff and their stats. Like, that's a separate thing you can go in. I like that it keeps track of the masters, like, magic circuits and quality and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's a lot of just, like, for both new fans and old, there's a lot to just kind of suck you in there and be like, ooh, thinking brain thoughts.
Oh, brain thoughts.
Get me in there for some more fan servant designs, maybe. Yeah, there's a lot of gender kerfluffery as you would expect from Fate.
Oh, what?
I do appreciate that, like, almost everybody assumes Saber to be a beautiful woman, but Iori does not really ask or care about these things.
Nope.
And Saber doesn't seem to care either way. Like, we just don't even need to get into it. And then there's this other thing I talked about where, like, very early you meet Writer's Master Yui, and I'm just like, later other characters refer to them with male pronouns, but when I met them, I was like,
this looks like a girl and sounds like a girl.
yes,
Excuse me.
this looks like a woman and is definitely voiced by a female VA, as opposed to Archer, for instance, who, like, he's, very, very handsome, almost like, going into, like, the feminine side of pretty, but when he speaks, definitely pretty boy voice actor,
Yes.
I mean, it could be. I think Fate likes to play around with gender stuff for Japanese servants explicitly because they've had some very strictly defined gender roles. As you can even see on display in this game, when you go to the Pleasure District, there are, courtesans hanging out in boxes. They have the higher ranked ones have a lot of power and influence, but it does not change the fact that most of them are doing their work out of what looks like a wooden cage, But this is the style of the time. So I there may be something there, but it's definitely the kind of thing where, like, especially for Yui's character, as I see, like, a lot of them talk about them being, the Grandmaster and male. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not going to think about this anymore. It's Fate. Whatever. I'm used to this.
I'll find out an answer eventually, or I won't.
So, and if I don't, then I guess it didn't matter. If it didn't come up.
Yep.
But with that news about the Strimstram, that does make it very appropriate that I have indeed prepared the pregame for our next Halloween event.
Yes.
The Queen of Dust and the Dark Disciple. And while we could probably wax about Samurai Remnant forever, I do want the episode to end so that I can go back to playing Samurai Remnant. And, I also need to edit it, so that requires a little bit of my brain focus. So let's do the Halloween pregame and give you guys your briefing. So, yeah, based on the JP schedule, we're probably about a week out. Let's see, the stream will be on a Wednesday, so maybe actually even, starting the 12th.
Mm.
So, still a little ways away, but also perfectly timed for this. Just got to make sure to have time and have wrist bones to write a wanted script on the jocks.
That's gonna be a weird one.
Yes, it will be a very weird one. But hey, I'll get to talk about Shub Diggerath, so.
Yeah, Shub Diggerath, a la fucking Baphomet, a la fucking the Knights Templar, a la Jocks them. It's so weird!
It's probably not going to be as bad as the Space Ishtar conspiracy board, but
yeah.
expect to see Omega go down several layers. But yeah, so the Halloween pregame, we're roughly a week out no matter what. This is going to be a time-gated event with a points ladder. Unfortunately, it is a triple point ladder. I cry every time. It's 600k in each point zone. To participate, you will have to clear Orleans, because that's where Liz first shows up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So this event will be broken up into 7 numbered acts. There's going to be a prologue and 2 epilogues. Only one of them is called epilogue, but one of them is, the one where you actually pick up your Holy Grail as a no-battle story note at the end. So it's 2 epilogues, 2 denouements. Completing these will net you 8 Saint Quartz, 1 Holy Grail, your temporary, then permanent Cinder-Ellys.
I still love the name Cinder-Elly.
Yes, Elizabeth Bathory's Cinderella. I'm pretty sure they can say that over here. I don't... Because they're not, like, directly addressing, like, the Disney version, so I'm pretty sure the core Cinderella's in the public domain. Should be fine. But yeah, Cinder-Elly works as well. Also, you will get one of the 3-star CEs and a new Mystic Code from this. That's right. There's a Mystic Code in this. It's in the first act. It's a pretty good one, because it gives you Buster and NP up. One of their skills is 2 hits of evade on any servant.
2 hits.
Yeah. It's 2 hits, 3 turns. It's great. And what was the last skill? Let me double check. The Mystic Code is called Howling Royalty. Or at least that's how the original JP was. So, Mystic Codes, Howling Royalty. Yes. The third skill is Blessed Regeneration. That gives an ally 10% gauge and also removes Skill Seal, NP Seal, and any stun debuff.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it removes Sleep, it removes Eternal Sleep, Pig, Charm, Stun, any of the abilities where you can't use basic attacks or certain card combos. Obviously, most of the time that's like a forced ability that's unremovable, but still, it's good because it's just like removing NP seal, skill seal, and stun is like great. And it's 10% battery. And yeah, it's one ally gets Buster and NP damage for 1 turn on the first one. Second skill is it's 1 turn, but it's still 2 attacks on the invul. So it's not as good as like a full turn, but still pretty solid. If you're, about to eat an NP, it's as good as anything else. And what's the scale on this? Oh, it's got the same EXP scaling as like Chaldea Pathfinder and the Babylonian uniform and stuff. So not that much. So yeah, very very solid Mystic Code, and you get it pretty early in the event. So it'll be nice to start leveling that up. So most of your main story nodes are pretty normal in difficulty for what you'd expect for an Orleans clear. There are a couple of weird ones. Like for instance, I'll warn you that in Act 2, you're going to get a battle who have 30 total enemies in one wave, still only 3 per screen, but they all despawn immediately when killed. They do not wait until the end of the turn to come in, which means that hypothetically, if you do 3 AoE NPs and hit everybody, you can kill like 9 guys per turn.
Oh, wow.
And the battle lasts 5 turns. I don't think it's mathematically possible to kill all like 32, I think, possible enemies you can fight. There's a lot of them, but yeah, it's just like you got to fight a lot of guys. There are a few weird NPC comps. Like there's going to be one battle where all 6 of your slots will be taken up by NPC servants.
Oh,
you'll have a full NPC only team. I assume you can probably still do lineup to like rearrange what order they're in, but yeah, it'll be in there. I believe that's the quest that references, because there's going to be a lot of classic fairy tale references here. I believe that's referencing the 7 dwarves.
That was about to be my guess, yes.
They are going to make you put your Cinder-Elly in the front row a few times. You will get story buffs, though. Like, I think almost every fight, you get like a 10% extra healing value. You do get, I didn't mention it earlier in a note, but you do get one of Cinder-Elly's ascension mats through clearing main story, which is nice, because she's going to be temporary first, so, you got to do some work.
I have made the Gil statue. It is called the Great Hero statue, and it's fucking Gil doing a fucking Buddha pose. It's kind of fucking hilarious.
Oh, that's great. I hope I find some pine wood soon so I can knock that one out. But yeah, so you will have to do Cinder-Elly in your front row a few times, and it will be not an NPC version, so make sure to level yours. I will warn you, in Act 4, you're going to run into a boss. This boss is going to be accompanied by 99 pumpkin knights.
Oh, no.
Don't bother with those. Just beat the Forerunner boss, who's got 65,000 and 162k HP, 2 break bars, or 2 bars total. The boss will give enemies an on-attack buff where they reduce your NP gain and star gen for 3 turns on hit. Thankfully not actually reduce your stars and NP gauge, but yeah. Also, when you break their first bar, it will put a taunt plus an invul on those enemies. But, AoE NPs exist. Act 6 is very funny. You're going to fight a saber boss who has a break bar. You only need to break the first bar. They decide to go home after you break that 1 bar. So that's very fun. Act 7, though, is your climax. That's going to be kind of annoying. There's going to be a new caster boss mob. The first time you fight them, it only lasts 2 turns, but they are going to be functionally immune to damage, as in they will have a permanent invul and a permanent 100% damage reduction. The second fight, you will get a way around these buffs, but it will still have a extra permanent damage cut and defense up for the first 3 turns. So, it's going to get there. Oh, yeah, and when you break its first bar, it just gets an on-attack buff to get a 20% chance to instant kill.
Oh, Jesus, why?
And triple guts.
Why?
It's only like a 2k guts, but it's unremovable triple guts. And again, not necessarily slouching. This boss has 245k HP on bar 1 and 294k on bar 2. This is the last boss, though, so literally everything after this is just story. Though, funnily enough, I will pre-warn some of you, in case you run into an annoyance. The third arrow in Act 7 has an unskippable dialogue choice. I will not tell you which one it is, but if you pick one, you clear the quest. If you pick the other, you fail the quest and have to do the dialogue over. So,
no.
Be aware. Pay attention. Read. Or you will do the funny. But yeah, no, there's several boss fights, but some of them should be pretty straightforward. I've called out most of the ones that are going to be weird or have gimmicks. Some of which, like I said, benefit you. It's so funny that you're going to run into this saber fight and it's just going to be 2 break bars. Nope. Going home. In main story, enemy mob types seem to lean towards berserkers, casters, and some sabers, so shouldn't be too much problem there. There's actually a pretty big support cast for NPCs, and so mentioning all of them, I think, might give away some of the fairy tales they're doing on. Suffice it to say, you're going to get a lot of choice sometimes. Not just in, you're going to get locked to 6 servants in one go, but there's going to be others where you're going to be able to pick from, 7 or 8 support NPCs and stuff like that. So, like, it's pretty diverse. Now, free quests are going to be pretty normal. They're all monoclass. Your highest boss HP is at like 120k. So, very easy modo. A few of the high-level quests are something weird like 332, so it shouldn't be too much of a big deal. Except, this is our first event where they're actually going to try the more than 3 enemies per wave thing.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah. So, you will get enemy appearance CEs up. Those are your event CEs. They are also all, by the way, damage bonus CEs. So, be ready to go crazy. But with those CEs, you can increase the number of enemies that appear to a maximum of 6 per wave. Which, honestly, probably only makes AoE farming easier.
I remember it was definitely a thing when we got in that one fight in Avalon Lefay.
Yeah. So this is their first time doing that in an event for just free quest farming, so keep it in mind. As usual, there are also going to be little mini challenge quests or vignettes. They are called fairy tale quests. They are unlocked at certain point milestones and main quests. Completing these will get you mats, command codes, and one of your copies of Cinder-Elly, your extra NP copies. Your point ladders are going to be divided into Cinderella, Snow White, and Red Hood points. There's 600k point cap in each, but this is one of those point ladders where you don't have to like go to the store and exchange everything. You will automatically be awarded the bonus at the end of every quest you do in the event when you've hit a milestone. Each ladder contains 4 copies of a different damage spawn CE, one of your Cinder-Elly NP copies. It ends at the 600k mark on a lore, so there's like 4 lores in this event, actually like 5 or 6 technically. But there's a lot. They're also going to contain items like mana prisms, apples, QP, 4 and 5-star EXPs, and materials like pages, stand arrows, spirit roots, horseshoes, god balls, Spiritron god orbs, mirrors, crystals, crowns, gallstones, Cinder-Elly's ascension mats, and a fuck ton of Liz coins. You want coins for all your welfare Liz's? All on these point ladders, baby. Lots of Liz coin. My favorite cryptocurrency. The shop contains even more EXPs of 3, 4, and 5 variety, foes, even more coins, Saber, Archer, and Assassin statues, 5 copies of several old Halloween CEs. That's right. You want some CEs that were like, event drops and integrated? We've got some of those for you. Let me actually pull up the list so I can shout out which ones they are. But I know that, for instance, Halloween Princess is in there. So let's see. Shop. Also, the shop has your 5th copies of the damage and spawn CEs, so there's 4 in each point ladder, and then there's 1 in the shop. So there are, for gold currency, there's 5 copies of Maiden Halloween and Halloween Princess. For the silver currency, there are 5 copies of Heroine Ellie Chan's Adventure, Aerial Drive, which is a great one to pick up, Wizard and Priest, and Golden Wings, and then in the silver currency, there's 5 copies of Trick or Treat, Matahari's Tavern, and Nostalgic Form. So, several of your old CEs are going to be in there, which is pretty great. You're also going to have your extra NP copies for your Liz welfares. There's 4 copies of, Halloween Liz, Brave Liz, and the 2 Mecha Ellies, for instance. So if you didn't have those welfares before and want to catch up on them, you can get your full NP5 quality and all the coins you need. It also contains a lore in the shop, and mats like Hero Proofs, Stakes, Soaps, that's Aurora Seals, Void Dusts, Night Metals, Claws, Black Beast Grease, Bloodstones, and Scarabs. Also, yes, no, we definitely need the Christmas version of this shit. Please, help a brother out. Anyway, so all kinds of mats in there. Summon Banner 1 will be new 5-star foreigner Jacques de Molay, and also new archer Zenobia. I believe Zenobia is permanent after this event, but Jacques is limited. Keep in mind, chat. And we'll have the usual currency CEs. And there shall be a second banner. That banner will contain Napoleon, Dion, and Bedivere. Bonus servants are just damage and bond. Cinder-Elly and Jacques get 100% damage and 50% bond up. Mordred, Chevalier d'Eon, Suna, Bedivere, Napoleon, Zenobia, Toratota, Robin Hood, and all forms of Liz, including regular Lancer Liz, get 50% damage and 20% bond. Hajime Saito, Hector, Scheherazade, and Old Man Lee are 30% damage and 20% bond. Cinder-Elly's going to have double EXP during this time period, and that's about it. Basically, it doesn't seem like there's a way to get bigger point drops, just to spawn more enemies and get more drops that way. Mm-hmm. So, when you get to your higher tier quests and, you're fighting 6 guys a wave when you've got your full CEs, you will be able to get big drops to clear those point ladders, hopefully. But yeah, no, fairly straightforward. You're going to get your permanent, your temporary, you're going to get a little of your stuff out there. I do like how they've kind of broken up the rewards, so it's not like all in one basket. Like I said, you literally get one of your new Eliza Welfare's Ascension mats by clearing main story, which is good because you have to use her in the front row a couple of times. So breaking the level cap helps with that. But all in all, it should be a fun time. Very interested to see what we do here because, like I said, there's a lot of explicit references to classic fairy tales, not just in the main story, but also, like I said, a lot of these fairy tale quests are, based around stuff like, Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. There's ones based on, like, The Honest Woodsman, Tortoise and the Hare, Jack and the Beanstalk type shit. And all of these will, they have gimmicks that are usually based on the fairy tales that you're expecting. Yes, chat, by the way, in case you're wondering, there is a fairy tale quest based on the Little Mermaid. The enemy is who you think it is.
Okay.
But yeah, there's just lots of these little notes, and you can get plenty of stuff from here. I do like that they mix, like I said, Western and Japanese folktales. It's not just, Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. There's also shit like, Casa Jizo, the Grateful Jizo, and stuff like that. I won't say which emperor it is, but there is an Emperor's New Clothes reference. And so all of these little things, like I said, they're basically mini CQs. They don't get too hard. Like, you're looking at a couple of them will have, like, one of them is got, like, a break bar that's got, like, almost 400k HP. But remember, you've got 3 different damage CEs, which are all plus 200% damage at MLB. And your servants are going to be at, like, 50 or 100% damage bonus as well if you're using bonuses. So it should be pretty spicy. I feel like despite the triple point ladder thing, this event is designed to actually be pretty easy to farm when you get going. We'll see when it actually drops. And like I said, we've just gotten, in the middle of recording the show, just gotten an announcement that there will be a light broadcast the night of the 11th to let you know some stuff and things. Some stuffs. So probably look out for the event to be live either the, actually no, it says October 10th, that's right. 6 p.m. PT, so yeah, it's the Tuesday night. So yeah, probably expect this to be live like Wednesday or Thursday, depending. We don't always do the thing where we back end right into a maintenance with our light broadcasts. Let me check if we've got any maintenance scheduled. That'd probably give it away. News, maintenance. No, just the scheduled maintenance completion. Yeah, so no exact idea when the event will trigger, but soon.
Soon, TM.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the pregame. Hopefully, you guys find that helpful. Get ready, get prepped, get reading. And, if you haven't finished your Halloween and you didn't already have those Liz Welfares, remember, those guys are going to get 50% damage bonus, so there is an incentive. Oh, yeah, but with that all out of the way, I think that's basically it for the show here. We've hit all our news and stuff. As it is a new month, I will do, as usual, up on that Patreon plug. So you can support us on Patreon to get, things early. Like audio format gets posted right away when we're, fresh. Stuff like that. Get access to polls and stuff, including Fan Servant Friday. I'm running a spooky, scary October poll. Your targets this month, if you are a $5 or higher tier patron, you can vote on a selection between Belgunus Assassin, Frau Gauden Rider, Hoshikuma Doji Berserker, and Takeyashi Hime Caster. Frau Gauden and Takeyashi Hime are currently taking away with it, with Frau Gauden in a very slight lead. So, still got some time to wiggle that one out there. But, I picked some spooky, scary ladies. Spook them. But yeah, I think that's basically what we got here. So stay tuned for next week's show, and we'll catch you up on stuff. Keep your eyes peeled for an FGO Wanted, and make sure you are subscribed to catch some live streams when we do them.
Oh, with that, though, I did want to bring this up, because we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
You guys in the Patreon chat, and just you people on com things, just, like, real quick, we want to ask, if you guys would be okay if during Let's Talk FGO, when we do our usual free talk segment, we just, kind of, what's the word? Relax the reins and, unbutton button a button or two and just relax our topics. And we could just talk about just about anything about what's on our mind. Like, what's up? I have brought up to Omega that I don't think that What's Up is necessarily doing as well as it could be, and that spending, taking time out for it for streaming is not the best idea, and I put forward that we just move that segment to Let's Talk with FGO and just leave it as a, an ending segment where we can just relax and talk about a bunch of stuff with all of you guys. And included. I don't know if we're actually going to do a what's up or not this weekend. I'm not sure, but I would definitely like to hear everyone's opinions on if they'd be okay with just us tangenting wildly for an hour or so on the back end here.
Yeah,
I do.
basically. Sorry, before you finish, to keep on that first thought. Basically, like what you heard about that kind of like loosey goosey talk. No real show notes about Samurai Remnant, but instead of being about Samurai Remnant, it would be like about whatever we watched or played in the last week or so.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry. Please continue.
What part was I at? I lost my train of thought there. I remember what it's like. And to somewhat like facilitate this a little bit, if we were to do such a thing, I would actually probably relax the restrictions on the mailbag as well. I usually have it set. I'm usually fairly strict with it that it has to be at least Nasuverse related or related to us and personally. I would probably do away with that if everyone's okay with the what's up topic, because then again, you guys can then just ask us about anything. I probably will still keep the rules about doing trying to get validations or just weird things, but you'll be able to ask about a lot more things to us and be able to spark different types of conversation. So keep that in mind. If we don't get a lot of feedback on it, I'm just going to go with whatever I feel is best and go from there. So don't let it be said that your voice will not be heard.
Yeah,
you have the means to make the decision.
Yeah, leave a comment. Join our Discord. All the other usual things I say at the end of the show. And yeah, if you want to hear more like in depth of us kind of like talking this out and rolling it around like out loud to a live studio audience, check out last week's What's Up.
Yeah.
Where we actually like discuss this stuff. But obviously, as Lucky said, What's Up is not doing, I think, as best as it can or as it even used to. And so is Let's Talk FGO has also gotten kind of like the views shrinking as the episodes shrink. So it might actually be better for us, like as a channel and just as a workload, to just kind of squeeze the two shows back together. Originally, they kind of were one show, and then at some point we were like, man, Let's Talk FGO is really long. We should separate out all the stuff that's not FGO related into just a different thing so we don't feel so constrained. And then we did that, and we don't feel constrained. But now it's like, we could probably just make Let's Talk FGO less constrained if you guys aren't, like, violently opposed to that. So, hey, if you're violently opposed to that, let us know. Yell about it in the comments. But, yes.
Yes.
I think on that business note, it's just time to do the regular old outro, because this recording has gone on for almost 2.5 hours, and so I do have to edit it.
Yeah.
Want to get it out to the peoples. And, so if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give us a like. Leave your comments, obviously, on the comments hours direction. Well, probably not a 6-hour Let's Talk regularly, but, hypothetically.
We can if we do the What's Up thing, it'll probably be stretched out to like a 3 or 4 hour.
Yeah.
But after that, we probably cut it off just for the sake of Omega's editing and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But also, it would free up our Saturdays to do other stuff too. So I think that's a win-win.
Whether it's working on stuff, doing other things, we'll see.
Yeah.
Time is good. Anyway, where was I in the outro? Comments. Join our Discord. Link in the video description and on our channel face. You can also get a lot of feedback there and also just hang out more hang. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel to get more. And also consider ringing the bell even if you're already subscribed so you always know when we post a new video or when we stream. This is usually very important for wanted type things when, occasionally I have to scramble. And you can also support us by joining our channel memberships to get access to membership badges and emotes. And like I said at the front of the show, and just mentioned just now, you can support us on Patreon, get access to the audio version of this for as little as $1 a month or approximately $10 a year with an annual membership. At higher levels, you can vote in polls like Fanservant Friday, get access to video releases like Wanted Early, or other various things. And, at our higher tiers, you can listen to Let's Talk FGO get recorded live all the time. And that's everything I got for today. So, once again, good night, everybody. Good luck with the new Halloween, and stay spooky.
Spooky!